Listen, folks, Springfield, Missouri is not a perfect place. The good news, no place is perfect, including my favorite place on earth, Hawaii. That location still has its drawbacks. I've lived in and around Springfield, Missouri my entire life. And in fact, in this studio is where I'm living, Springfield, Missouri right now. Today, we're gonna run through the pros and the cons of living in good old Springfield, Missouri. You may have seen my last video titled Moving to Springfield, Missouri, and today it's going to be similar on the pros side, but the cons is really where today's video is going to shine and where we're going to start. But before we get into that, make me a deal. If you get any value or information, hit that like and subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. And if you would like to see more videos about moving to Springfield, about moving to Nixa, pros and cons of Nixa, Ozark, Springfield, anywhere around here, definitely stay tuned for that. I'm going to be comparing and contrasting different local cities and everything you need to know about relocating to Southwest Missouri. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, hey, you know who to call. This guy. Anyway, we're going to start this video with the cons of living in Springfield, so that way we can end on a high note, because every other list and video I've seen started with the pros. And we want to be different, dadgummit. The first con is transportation. Listen, we don't have a great public transportation system. Why? We don't need it. In the last video, I talked about the population being 167,000 people according to the last 2020 census. You get to take advantage of a bunch of stuff to do like a big city, but you don't have to deal with traffic like a small city. So you really do get the best of both worlds. And with that being said, used car prices here are like free. I mean, they're dirt cheap. So you could do that, get some cheap insurance, get your wheels, get yourself on the road. So long story short, we don't really need public transportation. I rarely see buses and, they're there if you need them, but for the most part, buy here, pay here lots are rampant in Springfield, Missouri. And in fact, I bought a car from one many years ago. Number 2 is crime rates. Now, this is a fun one because I'm sure you've seen Springfield listed on many lists, and in fact, the #1 most dangerous city in Missouri. Didn't know that? Well, now you do. But here's the thing. It's all relative to crime per population, or however you would put that. It's a ratio of how many people live in the city versus how much crime takes place. And I always laugh at people saying that Springfield is dangerous. Listen, back in my youth, I'm still in my youth, but back in my earlier youth, I would go to some of the most undesirable locations in the middle of the night that Springfield has to offer, exploring abandoned stuff, terrible neighbor, all sorts of stuff. And listen, I would 10 out of 10 times rather walk around downtown Springfield in the dead of night in the worst neighborhood unarmed than I would doing the same in Kansas City and especially St. Louis. So when people talk about Springfield being so dangerous, it's not that dangerous. There's just not that many people that live here, ratioed compared to the amount of crime that takes place. So it's not that scary. Listen, I've lived here my whole life. I very rarely have any situations at night where I'm like, this is uncomfortable. So if you hear about Springfield being a dangerous place, it's coming from me. I've seen it all. It's not that bad. The third con is homeless people. Now, you might be the one laughing at me about this because you're like, well, have you ever seen Chicago, LA, New York? The homeless population is crazy. And you would be right. And here's why it's a con. It's simply because the 20 homeless people we do have like to congregate at the square in downtown. Now, why is this a problem? 20 homeless people, that doesn't seem that bad. I mean, there's probably a little bit more. I didn't count them, but it's because the square is pretty awesome. There's lots of nightlife, bars, restaurants, clubs, lots of fun things to see, downtown lofts. So it kind of sucks that the homeless population likes to kind of hang out in one of the best parts of downtown, but it's no big deal. They're harmless, and police after hours are constantly roaming the area, and they don't kick them out because they're for the most part harmless. It's like, okay, if we can keep them all here and they're not doing any trouble, it's a win-win scenario for everybody. So you don't got to worry about homeless or crime or anything like that. Unless you move into the worst neighborhood and you're a little old lady, then okay, we can have that conversation when we start looking for a house for you. But I know the bad spots because I've been there and we'll avoid them. Now let's get to my favorite part. The pros of living in Springfield, Missouri. Number one is all 4 seasons. Do you like to go swim, go to the lake, enjoy a water park, sunbathe? Whatever you want to do, Springfield has a hot and long summer. Do you like snowboarding a little bit? Maybe drinking some hot chocolate, sitting in the hot tub, cuddling up by the fire? Well, we've got a long and cold winter, and of course, everything else in between, including fall and spring. You get to experience every season in full force, including the seasonal activities that follow suit. So there's always new things to do depending on the season. Now, for people like me, this is a con because I like hot as can be summers 24/7, 365 days a week. But if you like diversity, which most people do, Springfield truly has it. Hot summers, cold winters, everything in between. Now there's lots to do. We've got Wonders of Wildlife, Bass Pro, the biggest one in the world. We've got, close to the Table Rock Lake, fantastic caverns. We've got the Alamo where you get to have a nice burger and watch a brand new movie. There's tons of nightlife, high-end restaurants, budget restaurants, bowling, mini golf. I mean, everything a big city has, we've got it. But you don't have to deal with places being super, super, super crowded because, like I said, you get the best of both worlds. Not bad traffic, not bad crowds, but you still have everything to do. Another big one is the low cost of living. Springfield has an average 12% lower cost of living compared to the national average. Not to mention, we have a thriving job market, which means you're going to be able to get a job, make more money while paying less for housing, equaling more money in your pocket. And we all love more money in our pockets. And of course, universities. I've got a list here of some of the best colleges and universities we've got. So here's the list. Missouri State University, Drury University, Southwest Baptist University, that's in Bolivar, Ozark Technical Community College, and Evangel University. Not to mention the high schools in the area are some of the best in the nation. Moving on is healthcare. As a regional medical center, Springfield has an unparalleled commitment to health and wellness. Listen to this. Healthcare is our city's #1 growth industry, with about 17% of our total workforce being employed in the healthcare. We are home to 2 top 100 hospitals and level 1 trauma centers. We got doctor's offices, urgent cares, and hospitals on every corner. You get sick, we got your back. And finally, diverse living environments. Do you need a little ranch house with some acres upon acres to have a farm? We got that. Do you want to live in the modern, high-rise downtown loft living style? We got those. Do you want a quiet, safe neighborhood to raise a family? We've got those. Literally any kind of living situation you want, you can get it in Springfield, Missouri, while experiencing tons of things to do with a vibrant nightlife and a crazy 4 seasons. So there you have it, folks. Those are the pros and cons of moving to Springfield, Missouri. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to contact me. My phone number is 417-501-4660, and my email is graysonroberts@kw.com. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, or relocate to the Springfield, Missouri area, you know who to call, your real estate agent's favorite realtor. Anyway, guys, stay tuned for other videos on surrounding cities and just more general information about Springfield, Missouri. I'd love to help you get here. Looking forward to being your neighbor, and I'll see you in the next video.